You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, now it's time for another installment of what is fast becoming the most popular segment here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail! Johnny's at it again.
Of course he is, because this guy fancies himself some sort of truth teller, YouTube debater, but when they can't debate the points you've made because they're irrefutable points, they attack you personally. In this instance, your YouTube channel,
This YouTube channel.
Take a listen!
10 years, centered on boxing. His channel ain't grown since. Ring IQ, you would expect this man to have at least 70,000 subscribers, but he's been at 16,000 subscribers for a long time.
Bullshit! I'm actually at 22 going on 23,000, Johnny. I don't think you ever got there. I don't think you ever will. There's a noticeable difference between 16,000, which is the number you gave, and the 22,000 that I actually have. Are you just bad at math or a liar?
Some people got more videos than they do subscribers.
I'm not one of them. But you might be.
I'm on my second channel, and my channel is doing very well. For what it looks like, I have more subscribers than I do videos.
So do I. I've got 22,000 subscribers and approximately 5.7 thousand videos. That's always been the case. I've always had more subscribers than I've had videos. Even when I started out this channel, I started off with more subscribers than you've got now.
What the fuck are you talking about?
So these anti-black boxing channels or anti-black people, they need us.
You wish. You're the one who's literally subscribed to me. You're the one who started off making videos about me years ago, and years later, you're still doing the same thing.
You need me.
Because you don't talk about boxing or boxing news. You don't know shit about boxing. You talk about boxing channels.
And so when they think that they have something that they can use to try to destroy us, they will fail in the process of trying to so-called destroy us, because they will never destroy us.
Johnny, I don't need to destroy you because you'll destroy yourself. You said it yourself. You're on your second YouTube channel. I didn't do anything to your first.
You took it down because nobody was watching it, and you're likely going to end up doing the same thing with this one.
He said that I've been stuck at 16,000 subs for a long time, which wasn't even true. But Johnny, when have you ever gotten that many subscribers? With your first channel or your second? I remember.
You never did.
And you never will, because you don't have anything pertinent to say. Even in the gimmick arena, the grifter arena, that you're now trying to occupy, you're far too unpopular, trying to fill the shoes of the now defunct LDBC. You know, a lot of those channels.
Since you want to talk about channels.
The ones that used to be as big on Deontay Wilder as you're big on Deontay Wilder. Well, a lot of them went under, like Town Business, Trill Boxing Talk,
Hoop Jab,
Champside. Champside has swapped sports. He doesn't even talk about boxing that much anymore, since all the fighters that he liked, a lot of the ones that you like,
they started losing.
Confirming my suspicions that you and other content creators like you aren't real boxing fans. You don't like boxing for boxing. You use boxing for narratives. And even in that arena, you're an abject fucking failure.
Never mind those other YouTube channels, because, well, I never compared myself to them. You're the one that started talking about me and my channel, so let me compare myself to you.
Yeah. Your first channel was a flop. Your second channel looks like it's gonna be a flop. You're off to the same start that you were before, talking about the same things. 350 subs and already 93 videos. You say that you have more subs than you do videos, but at the rate that you're uploading videos, you will far exceed that number shortly, if you keep this up.
You'd know that if you weren't so piss poor bad at math.
Never mind my channel and how many subs I've had over what duration of time. The question is, have you ever gotten that far? How much money have you made from your little videos?
Net zero.
How do I know? Because I remember your first channel only had few hundred subs. You never reached the benchmark that would allow you to monetize your first channel, and you're not there now with your second.
So before you talk about me and mine, I'd like to know, how much money did you make from yours? Net zero.
Nada. Nothing.
You're nothing. What you think, what you say amounts to nothing. What you are for me is tonight's comic relief. The butt of my jokes, because you're an ass. A jackass, to be more specific.
Because you've got a lot of nerve, buddy. Don't bring anybody else up when it comes to YouTube channels. We'll talk about yours. Yours specifically. You're on your second one.
Oh yes, some channels are bigger than others. There are many YouTube boxing channels out there that are bigger than mine.
That's true.
But not yours. Not your first channel. Not your second channel. How many channels do you have to make before you figure this out? Before you get it right?
Whataboutism channels don't drum up the metrics that they once used to. And even when they did, yours wasn't popular. It's not going to be popular now. All these years later, there's a prevalent story out there right now I noticed that you're not talking about. You're not talking about Floyd Mayweather's lawsuit against Al Heyman for all of the money he stole, which is what I've been saying for years.
Are you avoiding talking about that because then you have to admit I was right?
There's no need for you to answer. We all know the answer because we all know what kind of person you are. Low IQ, low quality, low brow.
But I'm actually glad you're back, and I'm glad you're still talking about me, because whenever the news is slow, I can always come back to you, as I know, not only will you be talking about me, you're gonna say something stupid. You can't help yourself.
Too stupid for his own good, to the point he doesn't even know he's stupid. Supposed to be some kind of freedom fighter? Whose freedom are you fighting for? There are no rights in the United States that I possess that you don't also possess, buddy. You're a little late to the party.
The March on Selma.
What you want to do is travel back in time in your proverbial time machine to make yourself out to be a victim of suffering you didn't actually experience. So that when you don't amount to anything in life in the modern times, you can blame it on that. That's not going to work.
Too much evidence to the contrary, Johnny.
You suck at this, and you should probably shut the fuck up.
Shut up.
It's that old saying from Mark Twain. It's better to be thought of as a fool, but remain silent, than open your mouth and remove all doubts. You could learn a lot from that quote.
They're going to be successful, undoubtedly successful. They're well capitalized. They're extremely intelligent. They have a massive promotional engine with the UFC and WWE. If you notice, when they publicize stuff, they collab on that on social media. They use all the same resources. They're going to be long-term players. People can't judge them in the first 6 months, first 12 months. I will say it's interesting to see the change of strategy from them, right? Now talking about, oh yeah, you can fight for a sanctioning body belt. Oh, you can fight for the ring belt. I think part of that is impatience potentially on Dana's part of saying, you know what, I want to make my mark quicker here. But the right strategy for them is to do it slowly and to build up all the athletes. I always say this, it's not honestly about who the best boxer is, it's about who the public believes the best boxer is.
This is Nakisa Bidarian, CEO of MVP, saying a lot of things you would have heard me say here on the channel. You can't judge them based on their first 1 or 2 shows because it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Given who's behind them, the size war chest they have, and the size of their platform, Paramount Plus, that is many times bigger than their competition's.
It's bigger than DAZN by a lot.
He mentioned the shift in strategy from MVP, and hindsight being 2020, I wonder if it was even a shift or if they were just playing possum. They wanted people to believe they were only going to go after the D-listers, the outliers.
Where now you see them trying to sign champions, belt holders in the sport of boxing. Is it that they shifted their focus, or is it that they were just playing possum because they wanted the element of surprise? They didn't want people to know they were going to go after these known fighters like Jai Opataya, Alexander Usyk, Bam Rodriguez.
Theoretically, it would make it easier to acquire those fighters if nobody knows that you're talking to them and they're talking to you. So I'll ask again, was it that they changed their strategy, or was that just them playing possum? It's open to interpretation, but they are in it for the long haul, as Nakisa Bidarian said, because it isn't being said enough. They have a 7-year deal with Paramount. They've got plenty of time and they're just getting started. And they are already off to a fast start. We're seeing familiar faces from the industry pop up more and more on the Zuffa Boxing side of things. Tom Brown of TGB, Robert Garcia.
Fighters affiliated to them are now fighting under the Zuffa Boxing banner.
Tom Loeffler of 360 Promotions, who quite famously used to promote Gennady Golovkin's.
He's funneling fighters over there. More and more people you recognize from the industry are gonna do the same thing. You know why?
They've got fight dates. And they've got money. They've got ties to not one, but two major platforms. For their run-of-the-mill shows, they'll use Paramount Plus. For the bigger ones, they'll use Netflix. And they would have come into the industry. They would have come into the boxing space at a time where the established game in town are hurting for both money and fight dates.
Zuffa Boxing would have already had 3 cards on the calendar, where Top Rank has only had 1 and PBC, up until recently, had none.
The recent announcement of Fundora versus Thurman, but none of you out there seriously think that PBC can compete with Zuffa with that card, that being a pay-per-view?
On their schedule, they're down to about 4 to 5 shows a year in the 2 years that have followed their deal with Amazon Prime, where Zuffa Boxing plans on doing in excess of 12 shows a year.
PBC is getting left in the dust. They're getting buried. And Top Rank, they've yet to land on their feet. I mean, I like them, and I hope they find a broadcast partner, but we're in February, and still nothing.
Nada.
So Zuffa Boxing would have come into the boxing space at a very opportune time to do so, where there's a lot of fighters out there hurting for a fight date, a lot of managers who want to get their boys active so they can make money.
That Zuffa won't have to go searching for talent. The talent will come to them, since they have fight dates and they have money.
The lifeblood of boxing ain't pride and it ain't loyalty. If you want loyalty, get a fucking dog.
Fight dates and money make the machine move. Whoever's got the TV money, and Zuffa's got it. Their only real competition would have to be DAZN. And DAZN isn't doing themselves any favors with all of these paywalls and all of these price hikes.
That would, in effect, make watching boxing on Paramount Plus the cheaper alternative because a Paramount sub costs less than a DAZN sub.
And a lot of people already have Paramount Plus due to their movie library, TV shows and all that stuff. And forget about Paramount, they're also working with Netflix. DAZN has no means to compete with that.
So that anybody who was judging them on their first 1 or 2 shows would have to be doing so out of ignorance, out of stupidity.
It's a 7-year deal, you fucking moron.
Rome wasn't built in a day. You're screaming from the rooftops. They need to get it together. They have time and money.
They literally debuted just a few weeks ago, bud. You can't judge them based on their first 1 or 2 shows any more than you can judge someone's physique off their first gym visit.
Common sense. That a lot of people in the boxing space are greatly lacking. Zuffa just got the ball rolling, but they're already off to a strong start, and it's not taking them very long to pick up momentum, mostly because they came into the space at a very opportune time when the established game in town are hurting for fight dates and hurting for money where they've got both.
Don't underestimate them.
Said it a few times already on a few live streams. I will say it here again. By year's end, the landscape could look very different, and Zuffa has a lot to do with that. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Canelo versus the world. Reports suggest this will be the headline fight for Canelo's September return in Saudi. Canelo will challenge newly crowned WBC champion Christian Mbilli for the WBC super middleweight title on September 12th. Is that why the World Boxing Council went ahead and elevated him to full champion without a contest?
They don't do that for everybody. They're very picky about who they elevate straight away and who they don't.
When it was Mario Barrios, when it was David Benavidez, they elevated them to full champion status straight away. But when it was Bruce Carrington, they made Bruce wait, knowing that Stephen Fulton, then champion, would not be returning to the featherweight division, knowing that he had already signed on to fight somebody else. They didn't elevate Bruce the way they elevated Mario, the way they elevated David. They instead made Bruce fight for the vacant title.
They didn't make Christian Mbilli do that. Could it be because they wanted to put that title in his hands so he could hurry up and defend it against Canelo, who they really want to hold that belt?
If that's true, that would cast a serious air of doubt over a Lester the Molester Martinez rematch, which was a hard fight for Christian Mbilli that ended in a draw. The second time out, he could end up beating Christian, spoiling any plans to put him in the ring with Canelo in September. Was originally thought that perhaps the World Boxing Council would order that rematch like they already did. Now I'm wondering whether or not they will. Or will they let Christian sit out the remainder of this year up until September so he can go straight into a Canelo rematch? Or do they just allow him to fight a voluntary in a keep busy fight? Not against Lester, somebody else. Somebody they pick.
Somebody safe.
If it is the World Boxing Council's plan to put Christian in the ring with Canelo so Canelo can take that belt from him, it can only happen a few ways. Christian Mbilli presents a stylistic challenge that Canelo is used to, a stylistic challenge that he normally does well with. Christian is a pressure guy, not a mover, not a jabber, not an outboxer. He's a mauler. And against those kinds of fighters, Canelo normally does well.
Because he doesn't have to chase them. When talking about his loss to Terence Crawford, he talked about his body not responding the way he needed it to. Leg cramps.
You know, Terence Crawford was doing a lot of moving in that fight, and movement has always been a sore spot for Canelo Alvarez. Whereas with Christian's not going to be moving away from Canelo. He's going to be moving towards him, throwing punches and bunches, giving Canelo plenty of countering opportunities. If Canelo Alvarez still has it, this is the fight that will tell us, because he normally does well against guys like this. This is a better barometer for where he's at
than all those guys who spent the fight running from him. Jermel Charlo, Edgar Berlanga, William Skull. Of course he's not going to look good with those guys. Those guys aren't trying to fight. They're not trying to win. They're not trying to do anything.
They're just trying not to get hit, trying not to get knocked out. You're not going to look good against a fighter that's doing that. But against Christian comes to fight. He comes to take you out. You don't have to ask him to do it.
Do it on his own.
World Boxing Council would love any scenario where Canelo Alvarez once again is holding their title, because they know
Canelo makes a lot of money.
a lot.
A lot of money. Enough that he's not going to harp about sanctioning fees like Shakur Stevenson, like Terence Crawford. Canelo makes so much, he'll pay the fee.
The whole time he was WBC super middleweight champion, they were getting a lot of money from his fights, and he fought on a regular basis. So any scenario where he can hold their title is a scenario they want. If it's really Christian Mbilli that Canelo is eyeing, the WBC will do their part to keep the way clear so that fight can happen and so that he can, in effect, get that belt.
The opponent.
Christian Mbilli is a respectable choice. That is a respectable opponent. It would be respectable for anyone else in a division if Iglesias fought Mbilli.
Resendiz fought Mbilli. Shiraz fought Mbilli.
Christian Mbilli is a top contender and a respectable choice for any belt holder or any contender at the weight. So that if that's who Canelo is eyeing, that is a respectable choice. For those who think he's a cherry picker, if he picks that guy, that ain't no cherry pick. There are easier guys to fight for a title than that guy.
By now it's established that he's a handful.
Canelo Alvarez's ring return is moving the needle in all the predictable quarters. There are some who like to deny it, that he's the face of boxing, but any news revolving around him gets more attention than anybody else's news, than anybody else's fights. And that's what being the face of boxing is all about. Whether or not you move the needle, we know Canelo does.